In April of 2016, a group of 4 people gathered together for the first time to open their Bible and to pray that God would do something in the Savannah area that would have a ripple effect through a generation. We believe that God had called us to plant a church that would be a blessing to the communities that we lived in and be a place where people would be connected to Jesus, equipped for His mission, and then sent out with the gospel. We had faith that God had a plan to see a portion of the Great Commission carried out in our generation. 2 years later, on January the 7th, 2018, we officially launched Connection Church Savannah at Godly Station School in Pooler, Georgia, where we saw God start something special as we learned to trust in His plan for His church. Later that year, we were forced to find a new location to meet in, and God called us to fast and to pray for 21 days. God already had a plan, but as usual, He was teaching us to trust in His plan and His timing. The Lord provided a new place for us to gather in Garden City on January the 6th, 2019. This was the place that God would use for the next 4 years to build a family and a foundation for the work that He was leading us into in the coming years. As we grew, the Lord began growing our church with people from the Effingham County area. And once again, we went to the Lord in prayer, seeking His plans for our next step. In May of 2022, the Lord opened the door to merge with the Rincon First Christian Church in Rincon, Georgia. On February the 26th, 2023, the Lord provided the property that we are now sitting on to be the permanent location for Connection Church Rincon. It is impossible to ignore the incredible things that God has been doing in our church over the last 6 years. We've seen God save hundreds of lives and hundreds more take next steps through baptism, connect groups, and many others becoming heart and soul members. As we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary gathering together on this property in Rincon, we believe that God is leading us on another faith journey. Today, I'm excited to introduce the Legacy Initiative. In Psalm 78, verse 6, the psalmist Asaph pled with his generation to remember all that God had done for them. He says, so that the generation to come might know, even the children yet to be born, that they may arise and tell them to their children, that they should put their confidence in God and not forget the works of God, but keep His commands. Asaph wanted his people to remember and to pass down the message and the mission of God. This is the heart of the Legacy Initiative. We want to extend the story that God began writing in us 6 years ago and extend it to future generations so that God's story reaches every community in Rincon and ultimately unreached people groups across the world. Together as a church family, our goal is to raise $1.5 million over the next 3 years to accomplish 5 objectives. Our first objective is to plant 3 more Connection churches. At Connection Church, we believe the most effective way to accomplish the Great Commission is through planting healthy churches. Through our partnership with the Connection Network, we've already been able to plant 7 churches domestically, and we are committed to planting 50 churches by the year 2050. And over the next 3 years through the Legacy Initiative, we'll be able to help plant number 8, number 9, and number 10. Our second objective is to support our missionaries that just moved to Southeast Asia and will be in need of basic and practical things as they begin to set up their business and begin language learning full-time. These needs can be as simple as Bibles and discipleship resources or as large as transportation. We want to be able to supply these tools that will empower them as they begin their ministry to plant a church among an unreached people group. The third objective will be to meet some specific needs in our local community. Poverty, addiction, and orphan care are just a few areas of brokenness that still exist in our community. As a church, we want to be a blessing to our city and shine the light of the gospel into these dark places by meeting specific needs and supporting some incredible organizations that are striving to reach people with the gospel every day. Our fourth objective is to identify and train a missionary team from Connection Church Rincon. 3.37 billion people in our world today are considered unreached. That means they will be born, live, and die without ever hearing the gospel or the good news of Jesus. And yet only 3% of missionaries worldwide work among the unreached. Together we can change that. Sending out a missionary team to an unreached people group is going to get the gospel to a group of people that have no access to it. And we are praying that many new brothers and sisters will be added to the kingdom because of that. Our fifth objective is to begin construction on phase 1 of a new building. We believe building a permanent facility is going to help us further our mission of making disciples and multiplying churches among all nations. We want to have adequate space that we currently don't have to host people who are seeking the hope that's found in Jesus. Part of the legacy that we're building here is in our Connection Kids and Connection Students ministries. We want to build a space that will meet needs in those ministry areas that are currently lacking. We want to partner with families to raise the next generation of disciple makers, and that starts with having a space to do that well. Our ultimate goal is to provide a place to connect people to Jesus, equip them for the mission, and then send them back out. And as you can tell, all 5 of these are very exciting objectives that are going to help us reach more people with the gospel, and it's going to take a unified body to reach our goal. This is a big vision with some big objectives. But I want you to know that we serve a big God that can and will do immeasurably more than we could even imagine. So I'm asking you to believe with me, and let's step into this together, full of faith, and trust and follow God's leading. This is the heart of the Legacy Initiative. We want to extend our generosity for the mission of God. We're asking every household to prayerfully consider making a sacrificial commitment above and beyond your ongoing tithes and offerings to be given over the next 3 years. We want to see 100% participation in this initiative. If you're not currently giving, now is a great time to jump on board to what God is doing through this local body. If you're new to Connection, we want to invite you on this journey of faith as we continue what the Lord started 6 years ago, partnering together to make disciples and multiply churches among all nations. These are exciting days in the life of our church. At Connection Church Rincon, we'll always be a people who are willing to radically believe and elevate our generosity to take the gospel further than it's ever been before. My prayer is that over the next 3 years, you would join me in trusting in God's plan, just like we did at God Lake Station School and in Garden City. That as we continue to trust and follow Jesus, the best is always yet to come.